morning and welcome to Morning Break on Breaking Times. I am Iko-Kuchidose.
And I'm Ijeoma.
And I am Abbas Muhammad.
A quick rundown of the stories we have for you today. PDP confirms Damagun as the substantive national chairman of the party, zones presidency to the south. ASUU declares nationwide campus protests. ECOWAS to raise massive counter-terrorism force. National Assembly declares democracy stable.
On the financial stories, Nigeria's oil output jumps 10% as security boosts production. Analysts tip stronger Q2 growth as Nigeria's GDP rises by 3.9%. And in an interesting development, the Q2 gains are wiped out by 2.29 trillion weekly loss.
And on entertainment, we have Pella reacts to ongoing trolls relating to viral video. Hilda Bass is set to break another record this September. Vicky James speaks out on marriage rumors. Nigerian youths flog police and 2 others over drug use.
And finally, on the sports scene, a sex toy epidemic in the sports world. Road to WrestleMania, 41 Europe. Why not Africa? 19-year-old goalkeeper saves the game for Bayelsa United, and Nigeria invests in sports, 31 billion to 78 billion naira budget increase.
Well, let's start with PDP, confirming Umar Damago, the national chairman of the PDP, as the national chairman of the PDP. One would ask, is this a game changer? But you know what zoning does to the political scenario, whereby we are seeing it going to the south now, and I'm asking, is it to the south-south? Is it to the southwest, or the southeast will want to have it all at this time?
I mean, I think it's a very valid question, because it's also what happened in 2023, at least within PDP, and we know what that crisis led to. It's basically led to all of the fallouts that we've seen today, including having Elia Damagun as the acting national chairman. These are all the fallouts of the zoning of 2023. It's very interesting because I understand why this zoning has to happen. However, if we're going to zone, and I'm not even going to talk about the zoning of the national chairman to the north, I'm talking about zoning of the presidency to the south. What does this mean, really? First of all, if you look at it, we see that the current president, Asue Ighodalo, is from the southwest to be precise. Yeah. And if PDP is going to zone, PDP is the biggest opposition party in Nigeria. If PDP is going to zone presidency to the south, what it invariably means is that they will lose the northern bloc, because the north, I don't know if the north is going to, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know if the north is going to go and vote for a southern candidate that's in opposition. It doesn't make any sense. So you're going to lose the northern bloc, and you're still going to end up splitting those southern votes between the sitting president, the incumbent, and whoever the candidate will be that emerges.
No, scaling to the north, like you said, let me just reiterate with light to the PDP presidency zoning. We started off with Obasanjo as the first president under the PDP. Now, Yar'Adua came, he passed on after 2 years. There came Jonathan to finish up his tenure. And I think the political mistake that happened under the Jonathan administration was he actually vying for the position in 2015. Looking at that whole angle, how the North is going to see the presidency from the PDP going forward. Are they going to accept this lacuna that has been created by the Jonathan's administration, or are they going to vote for a Southerner in this election?
Well, personally, I think this is a decision that requires research. The PDP should have done their homework before these certain meetings. Yes, I understand that there are laws and guidelines, that protect them and protect everyone's interest, because, when it comes to politics, everyone has a particular interest, regardless of the zone they are coming from. So I think this is a good way, to create a balance when the chairman is coming from one side, then the presidential candidate is coming from one side. But then at the same time, we're talking about candidates here. There is no assurance of a win or a loss. It's also considerable that, you consider who you're bringing out as a candidate. Is it coming from the south or is it coming from the north? And like you mentioned, will these northerners vote for someone coming from the south, despite the history? I think this is also contributed by the fact that they don't really have a steady party, considering how some of their candidates are moving from one party to another. They're having internal battles. So if they don't build their house, or when the internal structure is not strong, the external structure will not be really presentable, because you might just be showcasing that you have a happy home, but at the same time, people know that there is no peace in the house. So personally, I think the PDP still has a little bit of time, even though, the general elections is coming up in a year or so. They should do their homework and they should find a balance. It's not just about protecting the people's interests, but then, it is about politics, also about leadership. You're going to be leading the citizens. So if you're not showing a well-structured house, a good leadership position in your own house, then how do you expect the citizens to vote for it, regardless of them being from the north or from the south?
I think picking up on what he said, if they're going to bring out a southern candidate, somebody said you cannot change a light bulb from outside the room. So it is very, very important to be in power before you can. I think that's one thing that PDP has failed to understand over the years. The most important thing is to put aside any political differences, any internal party differences, and get into power first. And if they are going to field any southern candidate, and there's been rumors about it, the best candidate obviously will be former President Goodluck Jonathan, and there's been rumors about whether or not he will run. But if there was ever a time, this is the only candidate that fits that block that that we are sure that the North is going to support. So I don't know who they're going to field, but it's very tricky. It's really very dicey.
Well, you say very tricky. PDP is saying the South has a shot. But we are hearing rumors already from the Wike's camp, and we all know what happened in 2023. And coming from that angle, we also have the ADC. So now, what exactly can the PDP do rightly to actually sustain this decision from vying for from any candidates coming from the South? Because we have the South-South, the Southwest, and the Southeast. And the rumor is already brewing that there's tension already in the Wike's camp, because we have the Makinde camp also, and we also have the South-South bloc looking at it from the angle. Can we bring in a Southeast to actually replace the tension that is going to be created by this?
And I just realized as we were speaking that Makinde is going to finish his tenure as governor in 2027, which makes him eligible to run for presidency.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's rumors also that he will run for presidency. So, I mean, I don't know. It might be a good move. I don't know if a Wike will want to work against a Makinde, seeing as they are close allies. I mean, we'll find out. We'll see. So mine is whichever candidate they do eventually decide to put out, it should not be based on emotional sentiment, but on practicality and somebody who is going to win an election, who can hold his own down. It is time we put aside this individual differences. And when you mention ADC, I mean, there's a lot of question that is, basically on the table now. We know that Professor Jerry Garner has told Peter Obi to come back to PDP and assured him that there will be a ticket for him if he comes back. We've also seen that former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has also said that he might be running in, there are stories that he might be running in 2027. Under which party? If PDP is running to the south, it means that he's not going to be running under the platform of the PDP and maybe under the coalition party ADC. Is Peter Obi going to come back to PDP and run under PDP? I mean, these are all of the questions that really we need to look at. So 2027 is going to be a very interesting year.
Yeah, Mohammed, a very interesting 2027 coming towards us already. And one will ask, if you had to close your eyes and just blink it again and say a word, who would you suggest that the PDP should actually bring as a candidate?
Well, I don't think I'm in any position to suggest who even says I'm a fan or a party fan of the PDP. But then what I would say is, considering how the North is being considered to bring a lot of the votes, there's always this tension during the general elections. Yes, other states have voted, and the results have come in. But then, when talking about the KKKs, the Kaduna, Katsina, Kanu was coming in, and then the North in general. So I think another homework the PDP has to do is not just about, like I mentioned before, personal interest. There's also the issue of how divided is the votes, or how divided are the votes in the South. Considering even within the PDP, there's a little bit of a division. And then we'll have parties like the APC and also the upcoming ADC that they will be presenting their own candidates. Unlike the North, where there are several states where just a few of them or one or two of them can be considered to have a favorite candidate, like the way the NNPC is strong in Kano. For PDP, I would say everything is divided for them in the South, because the APC is bringing their candidate. ADC also has a candidate that will be coming up, most likely from that particular region, and also the PDP having their own candidate coming from that region. So if the APC or any other party comes up with a candidate from the North, I believe there is going to be a bit of tilt in the scale, because it will be as if the PDP didn't come, because the numbers are going to be massive, and then at the end of the day we end up hearing we're going to court as usual.
I think right now the North is the beautiful bride.
Well, we all should also be looking at the online pre-registration statistics that actually came up from the INEC during the weekend. And what will ask a very important question. There are critical states that have been noted that actually have increased in their voters registration. And one will ask, why are those states in particular, and what does it actually portend for the election going on in 2027?
So I saw the figures and I grouped them as a region. I grouped them geopolitically. I mean, that's all. More than the states, we saw certain states like you pointed out, like the FCT, and then certain states in the southwest. But looking at it like in the geographical region, you see that the most registration is from the southwest. And if you ask me, I think this is a classic case of on your mandate we shall stand.
Yeah.
And it looks to me like the entire country is, or the southwest is ready to support their son, with the second term agenda. We also noted significantly that the southeast had the lowest turnout in terms of votes, and I don't know what this portends for Peter Obi and his ambitions in 2027. 61%, from the southwest as against the other regions, it's very telling. It shows us that there's an underground work that is being done, that somebody is actually working, mobilizing, and getting people ready to sign. So it also should guide other parties, who know that this is where we're looking to get our candidates, whether they're microzoning or not, that this is where our candidates are coming from, to also drive. This is an ongoing exercise, and I feel like it is time for people to take advantage of it. I mean, it's been, for some reason, it's not as out there as it should have been. Not a lot of people know about it. Not a lot of people know that the CVR exercise is going on. And I feel like more information should be added, because there are some people obviously that are taking advantage of this information, and publicity is not being, given as it should. Well, I know you would like to drag the NOI.
One would ask a very tentative question, that why always Ebonyi? Because Ebonyi came the lowest with 261, and we have states like Osun coming up with 393,269 electors. Actually,
are we trying to see? Are they trying to shift the dynamics? Because no, these numbers come from the north. Is it trying to balance the numbers?
Because we have Jigawa, Kaduna, the KKK you mentioned, and Kano and Katsina. If you tally them all together, they are just about like 150,000. And compared to a state, compared to a state like even the FCT has about 107,682. So one would look at what is the dynamics that are trying to change going forward, because we are seeing more of the southwestern states growing in population on the CVR, and the northern states going below. So what are the political calculations from your own perspective?
Well, I believe perhaps it's the issue of maybe probably political apathy now is being zoned out. I think the people feel like they can voice out, like they feel like their votes are going to matter this time around. Unlike the usual status quo of votes coming from the north. Okay, yes, we already know the north has numbers, so probably people don't really think about coming out to vote. But I believe thanks to the last general elections, they now see that yes, their numbers actually matter. A voice taking out a voice actually matters. For example, the Labour Party coming out with a presidential candidate who actually came with a lot of waves and numbers in the last general elections. I believe the people now see that yes, if they actually do register, if they actually go out to vote for their candidate, there will actually be a result. There will actually be a positive result.
I think for what you ask as well, and then looking at the figures now, you find out that the majority of these votes from the southwest are from two states, really, Osun and Lagos. These are strongholds of Asiwaju. So I think you can tell that you can already already what the political
templates is actually going on to be like.
And seeing as we have somebody like Wike as minister in the FCT with those numbers in FCT, I think we can also safely say that we know where this is going.
Well, moving on from PDP issues to ASUU declaring nationwide campus protests and mobilizing students to stand their ground. And their reasons being that broken promises, they need to actually renegotiate on their earlier conversation with the federal government. But this time, the stakes are higher. Yeah. Why? Because youth unemployment is at 40%, and the tempers are becoming shorter, and everyone is asking, is this because the election is coming up in 2027? Or is this a reality of what actually should have been done by this administration when they stepped into power? or what exactly is going on?
Well, I think this is not news to us. Every year there's something ASUU, and this time around, interestingly, it's about protest, not strike. I hope it doesn't degenerate to the strike level.
Well,
But
I believe that's just a starting point. You know, taking the history of ASUU, there's always that minor, I don't want to call it, there's always that minor protest, there's always that display of dissatisfaction before the strike always follows up. And I think the issue of ASUU, personally, this is something that we should have tackled, you know, decades ago, since when the movement started. You know, every year, like you mentioned, every year there's always news. You know, personally, someone that has been affected by the strike multiple times, you know, because I know I wasted about 2 years of my life waiting for the strike during 2020, even though, you know, we give a little credit to Corona too, but then also in 2022. So I think the ASUU strike is something that they believe is the only way the government listens to them. And mentioning that, is it due to the next general elections? They also actually, these are the group of lecturers. These are people who have studied the system. They know what works. They know that, okay, if it's close to the general election, this could be even though it is wrong, in my opinion, it is wrong, you know, for the government to have to step in because of their own interest. You know, we want to come back to power. That is why we will answer ASUU. I feel that is wrong. It's something that they should have done out of their own conscience. Okay, that this is the right thing to do, to answer ASUU, you know, to give them their demands. And, you know, looking into what ASUU actually demands, these are things that are considered reasonable. Yes, worldwide, we're seeing conditions whereby professors do go on strike, you know, even in the United Kingdom once in a while. There's always that dissatisfaction. So I think education being underappreciated is a worldwide issue. But then when you're looking at the scale of how it is in Nigeria, from when ASUU started their movement on how they were protesting against, you know, how their wages are still the same, their salaries are still the same, there's, when the government answers them, it's usually a tweak or, you know, a promise that, okay, we're going to do better, but then we're still seeing the same thing, we're still hearing the same issues. So the government really needs to consider them, and it shouldn't be that whenever ASUU calls for strike is when they are being heard. I think it's something that there should always be every month, at least, at the very least, there's always a review. Okay, this is the progress, this is where we discussed last, and this is where we're trying to head to, and this is the progress we're making. Not that they have been threatened with a 2 weeks warning strike and then probably an indefinite strike before the government now sets up a committee that, okay, please listen to us and hear what they want. And these are people's lives being wasted during that period. Yes, the lecturers also feel idle, that, okay, they're not doing their work, and then the students too, on the other, are the receiving end. A lot of their life decisions are being paused because they are after their education.
Well, IJ, before you take, I just want to take a cue in there. Most times, education is always a casualty. And politically, we know who are the beneficiaries of all this casualty that is coming from education. If the lecturers say they're actually fighting for the students, are they fighting for the students because they're not well paid, or the schools, the way they teach, are not having the right infrastructure, they don't have the right queuing for them? What exactly are we looking at here?
I think there are so many factors, and sometimes it's infrastructure, sometimes it's personal pay, because it is very sad in a country like Nigeria that's supposed to be giants of Africa that lecturers are being paid, professors, associate professors, people that have gotten to this level in their career are being paid peanuts, take-home pay that we already know cannot take them anywhere. And it's just shameful that every year we keep having this conversation. So yes, even if these lecturers are having these conversations on behalf of themselves, I feel like they're entitled to demand for better in a country that boasts the kind of revenue or GDP that we have, especially if they're looking at, you know, what their counterparts in other countries are earning, if they're looking at what people that are generally below par or below them are getting in other government agencies. They see people, you know, renovation of buildings, luxury renovations. They are seeing people giving money left, right, center, and they you know, it can make them feel like they're being underappreciated, especially as education is supposed to be the bedrock of our society. So it makes it look like they're not being taken seriously. So it is well within their rights to ask for something, and it falls on the government, like he has said, to keep, you know, having this open line of communication with them and saying, okay, this is where we're at, this is what we can do, this is what we cannot do. You know, being transparent with them and carrying them along, and they really feel like they're carrying along. But then one of the greatest casualties, not even the lecturer, but the innocent students who have their whole lives on pause. Like you said, 2 years just sitting around waiting and doing nothing. And sometimes, like we've heard, some people have paid for their fees Some people have paid for house rent and then they have to go back. That house rent expires. There's nothing you can do about it. You can't fault them. You cannot fault the landlords. But that money has been wasted. Some people have bought food. Some people have gone on to even get married, do other things, because essentially you're putting a young person's life on hold because of whatever reasons, that people, selfish reasons or whatever. And again, we know that the youths, and that's why, the timing is always apt for ASUU. I think, like you said, they've timed them well. They know when to come in. These young people, if you're looking at the INEC data, are the growing, that's a growing voting bloc. And these people are a restless election force that can be harnessed and used. So we've seen that this energy is what translated to the NSAS movement, translated to the obedient movement, and we cannot continue to ignore them. This is a force that we cannot ignore, and the government needs to do something to make sure that this governance, the dividends of democracy, reaches these youth, and they don't continue to be casualty in an ongoing, tug of war chess between the government and ASUU.
Well, looking at the history of ASUU, they actually know exactly when to come in, because actually it's 2 years down the line, and elections are in 2027. But I want to quickly draw our attention to the social media buzz that many are saying that athletes are being given $100,000, while the VP's mansion was actually built with about 20 billion, and the ICC was renovated with 39 billion. And where is the place for education?
Yeah, you see, like IJ mentioned, previously about people asking also the questions like, are they fighting for the students, or are they fighting for their own personal pockets? There's also something to consider on the angle of the government is not even giving room for doubts. They are not giving room for doubt, like saying, what are these people actually fighting for? I believe if, the issue of infrastructure is taken seriously, what the lecturers teach with, the classrooms, the lecture halls, the equipment, the facilities, the funding, the electricity bills are well taken care of, like, the way ABU Ahmed Bello University area owes a lot of money when it comes to their electricity bill, because the school is huge, is massive, it's having several campuses. I think if the government was covering that aspect of infrastructure, and then the economy is as stable as it should be, because I believe what comes with the demand for increase in payments and wages comes from the angle of, we have been receiving the same amount of money we've been receiving last decade, and then for the past 1 decade, and then the cost of living has increased or skyrocketed from that, and then we're not seeing any improvement. So I believe if the economy is even a bit balanced, then when ASUU is going on strike, the government can say, okay, these people are just going after their pocket, because why do you want an increase if you're actually doing a selfless service to the society? So going back to your question, talking about how the ASUU should structure their protest and their strike, I think the government really needs to consider how they approach them. Sorry, I don't know if I'm on the same page, with the question there. So when it comes to the strike, I believe there's always two sides to it. Even among the lecturers, there are those who do not agree with the approach of, wasting the time of the students, wasting the time of academia, and then there are those that actually support the strike being the only sensible or reasonable action that they take, that the government listens to. So if the government is also doing their homework, I think there's a way you can avoid these strikes, because, yes, even though they are labor workers, because unions come from different working environments, I think they should really consider how they approach.
Well, going from the strike issues and the education issue, that we have actually seen that ASUU will not leave the stone unturned until they are being listened to, even though there are going to be negotiations along the line. But we should also consider the students who actually bear the brunt at the end of the day. Going on to ECOWAS and insecurity issues, ECOWAS has said they are raising about 260,000 strong counter-terrorism force. That's huge.
It's huge. It's a lot.
That's huge, and that's well, one would say that's on paper, huge on paper, but which is bold enough. But how pragmatic is this?
I feel like they can't possibly be serious. I mean, I mean, it's just me, because ECOWAS right now, if you're looking at some of the West African countries, and including Nigeria, is going through a lot of political tensions. There are a lot of sanctions. There are things are going on around ECOWAS. So to be making this move right now is good on paper. but is it feasible? Is it something that we can afford to do? I feel like some of these countries, or the countries that make up ECOWAS, should focus first on, fixing their internal affairs, making sure that they are in a good place before they start delving into this. And then knowing that Nigeria is really, we are the giants, not just of Africa. When it comes to ECOWAS, we're the one that carry, really pulling them along. So it only means that, this is going to fall on us. So we're going to have more soldiers deployed from Nigeria. What does that mean for our security budget? What does that mean also for a country that is fighting insecurity, fighting terrorism on different, at different parts of the country? It's a lot, and it's going to take a toll on us if we're going to be honest. I don't know. It's good on paper, like you said. I don't know how that translates to, practically.
Mohamed Abbas, let me quickly throw this to you. We already spent billions already on fighting Boko Haram. And one who asks, was Nigeria ready to fund West African forces?
Yeah, looking at the pledge of the amounts that will be spent on this, force that they raised, $2.5 billion annually is actually a huge amount of money to look at, looking towards this action from the ECOWAS. Like you said, it's something that it's good on paper, it's definitely commendable. Only if we could see the results. West Africa presently, we're having countries where we're having coups.
Yeah.
And then we're also having countries where, yes, they will have a lot of terrorism battling us, which we believe, are sponsored by external forces, not just within West Africa. So I don't know what was ECOWAS thinking when they came up with this. It is commendable. Yeah, they're trying to, unite. The full point of ECOWAS is to protect each other's interests here in West Africa. But then is that where their focus should actually be on? Nigeria, has been battling terrorism for decades now, if I may say. They have been fighting terrorism for decades, with other West African countries. So what really is the goal? What really is the aim? It's not just about, pledging the number of soldiers, pledging the number of the amounts, to fund these soldiers. But then, what really is the plan? Is there a structured plan? Okay, this is how we plan on countering this. If truly it is an external force, not in Africa, sponsoring this terrorism, because, this is like a black on black crime, because this is we affecting each other. So is there a structure on how to actually resolve this? Is there an actual goal, or is it just another form, to just push an agenda for raising money, just to paint a fancy picture, but then without results? It's another question to think about.
Yeah, we all remember the G5 Sahel failure, and looking at without accountability on the parts of our leaders, is this going to just be another deja vu? Or are we looking at a pragmatic step towards actually enhancing the security architecture around the West African states?
I think, like we said, it's good on paper. It's really good, but it's not a very pragmatic approach at this time. Everybody needs to go home and fix their internal political crisis. We as a country need to focus on the insurgency that has befallen us, and I'm not sure we can sustain deploying our military power right now, because we need them here. And I think by the time that all of these countries were gone and tackled our internal affairs, then we can come together and, we can support in any way that can. But charity begins at home.
Yeah, well, charity begins at home. And finally, on politics, the National Assembly says democracy is stable. And I could the echo I heard from Mohamed Abbas the other time when he said the economy should be a little bit more stable. And we have the Dr. Kojowela saying that the economy is stable. But what it means practically is that if one is in a hospital, you might be stable, but not able to actually perform to your optimal function. So now we're asking, what exactly defines a stable democracy?
I think, according to the lawmakers, our democracy being stable means that, we've had uninterrupted democratic power for, I think, 26 years, uninterrupted. So that means we're stable. But this is a statement that comes from people who need to keep their jobs. It's a job security, because if the democracy is not stable, they cannot keep their jobs. But then, is democracy really stable in a country where somebody wakes up and suspends a sitting governor and declares a state of emergency, removes a sitting governor, dissolves his cabinet, his appointees? Is it really democracy? Are we really in a stable democratic environment where people cannot come and speak their truths and speak their minds for fear of judgment or fear of being arrested? Are we truly in a democratic environment where governors cannot even comfortably stay in their party, but feel the need to defect to another, to the ruling party. Can we call that a stable democratic? Are we really in a stable democratic environment if the voter apathy continues to rise every year? Now, these are the issues, and I say that this is the kind of thing, I dare say it is the kind of thing you will hear from an Akpabio-led Senate. But it is fine, and they've said it. But then we need to go beyond the claim, because this might be something that you say to attract foreign investment, or to show foreign investors that, okay, where our country is stable, you can come. And if that is the case, then it might make a little bit of sense, but it doesn't really make any sense. Not for any Nigerian living in Nigeria, feeling the heat and knowing that we don't really feel like we have a say in a country that is ours. And I don't know.
Not having a say. So I will quickly throw a little light on something I wanted to actually come into.
Okay.
Natasha Akpoti, Senator Natasha Akpoti, and the National Assembly. Is that actually how democracy is practiced in other countries?
Well, starting with, well, I believe, every country with their own drama, because I don't like to always pick out the fault in Nigeria. Yes, we do have our errors, and others also have their errors, but, we sometimes capitalize on ours. But then at the same time, you also look at how the whole issue started, how she already cried foul the oppression that we're seeing boldly, publicly, because these are things that were recorded live, and then we saw the evidence that, okay, this has happened in a system of government where we are considered to be for the people and by the people. Are the people's voices really being heard? Sometimes I ask myself that question. We also consider the fact that for a government of the people, by the people, like IJ mentioned, what the lawmakers consider, what the National Assembly considers stable democracy is a system of government where the military has not intervened, for over like 2 decades. But then at the same time, the military are still in power. We're still living in a country where the citizens are still afraid of the military. The only people not afraid of the military to the high extent are those, that are in position of power.
Class.
Yes. So are we now saying that the definition of democracy has changed? That the power we said are for the people are now just for the lawmakers, it's for the National Assembly and those who are, governors, those who own power are those who we consider now as the people and not the actual majority of the public, the citizens. So, the National Assembly really needs to reconsider. Are they talking about partial, stable democracy, that favors a certain set of people and does not favor another set of people? Or in the general sense, it's actually for everyone?
Well, I will ask IJ this. Do we actually feel that we're in a democratic setting? Judging from the activities that have been going on from one administration to the other, with all the whole challenges they are actually portraying towards, they are trying to provide solutions to, but the citizens are actually eager to see exactly what is the dividend of democracy.
I mean, to all intents and purposes, I'll say yes, we are in a democratic environment because we hold elections every 4 years and power moves from one hand to another. So, yeah, well, I don't, whether it is for the people and by the people, I'll leave that to the people to judge.
Well, let's leave it to the National Assembly for now. So I would like our viewers to also share their thoughts on this with us, because this is actually supposed to be the government for the people, by the people. And if you are not feeling it, let's hear from you. Well, I'm going from politics.
Yeah, we move into finance. The stories on we have a lot of stories today. Well, like I said, the first story for today is the Nigerian oil output jumping 10%. So oil output rose by around 10% because pipeline thefts has been nearly eliminated through better security. I mean, I'd like to take your thoughts on that.
Well, this is we are talking money, and Nigerian outputs 10%.
That's a lot.
That's a lot, because that shows that the security efforts actually is yielding. And because at the beginning of this year, we had a lot of stories about vandalization, and now coming with this story of 10% is a huge for us to be for a nation, because this is money coming into the coffers of the government, and we should actually laud them for it, because this is good. And for the common man, I think we should be seeing the fuel prices dropping, but knowing Nigeria for what it is, and knowing the APC government to pretend that all things are normal, and sending out influencers to put up, because we see some influencers already in Ghana, and they are saying that the fuel prices in Ghana is even more cheaper than what we buy here. But the reality is this: nobody is buying, the purchasing power here is low. Because if you look at what I can buy with $1 in the US and what I can buy with 1,500 naira here, it's laughable. So one should actually look at our own reality, and our reality is clear. The purchasing power of the people is, I can say, greatly low. And looking at what is our minimum wage for a common Nigerian, most people are not in the civil service. Most people actually cannot even make up to 1,000 naira in a day. Sometimes I see young ladies who are hawking granules, and you ask them, how much is the total tray on your head? And you hear that it's just 2,500. So now you imagine, can this person sell all the whole granules probably in a day? Or how many trays does he sell in a day? Or she sells in a day to actually make up for that? But I would just say, on the news, this is good for the federal government income, but for the people, I don't think we are seeing the reality play out yet.
I mean, it's very interesting for me that, you know, we're able to grow our output in oil by 10% just by fixing security, or just by security intervention. It tells you how much more economic boost we're going to see if we continue to see more security. But then this 10%, obviously, it means the FG has increased spending. We also have more foreign exchange in our reserves. You know, how does this translate, you know, to the people? How do we ensure that, you know, what does this really mean? You know, is this going to be, we're hoping that this is not going to be threatened anytime soon by any occurrences. I mean, we still have Russia. What happens when Russian oil hits the market? Does this still remain at 10%? And what does this mean really for the ordinary Nigerian?
I think it's commendable, you know, what the security forces have done so far in boosting the Nigeria's oil output, you know, 10%, you know, like President Ikemba mentioned. It might sound like a small number, but then for money coming into for the government, that's actually a huge percentage. And I believe it's something that, you know, they can stabilize and keep in a very good image. But then also at the same time, this 10% oil output increase does not, how stable is it? Is it something that is temporary? Okay, we're going to see effects now, but then like you mentioned, when external forces come into play to shift the market, you know, when Russia starts pumping oil again, what does it mean for Nigeria? Are we going to move from a 10% output increase to a minus 100% or minus 50% you know, decrease in the output? Is also something the government has to consider. Yes, okay, kudos, you know, good job on us, you know, for increasing the output. But then at the same time, we should not just recline, or we should not incline towards the oil output too much. You know, we should also diversify the sources of income, the revenue for the economy of the country. And yes, you know, we should always keep that in mind. You know, we should not just focus on the wins from temporary from battles, but then we should also look at the war in general. You know, the fight for progress. Yes.
I agree with you. Diversification really is the way to go. I also feel like they need to support local production. You know, with Dangote refineries coming up, we need to support local production. Moving on to our next story, analysts tip stronger Q2 growth. GDP rises to 3.9%. I mean, this is great. This is amazing. So, I mean, it reflects an improving economic activity. There's a likelihood there's increased production, increased trade, you know, and consumption. So it's nearly 4% growth rate. What does this mean for us as Nigerians? Seeing a 4% growth in our GDP means that we have more production, more trade. What does this mean for our GDP really? For the ordinary Nigerian?
For the ordinary Nigerian,
I mean, more jobs,
inflation rates drops,
yes.
And you can see the purchasing power rising. But my only concern is price regulation, because that is very, very key in actually how it affects the common man on the street. Because if we don't have price regulations in play, and we have agencies who actually go out there, do their job, and try to, because Nigeria is a very, very very interesting society, whereby what you buy in Bagalada might not be the same thing you buy in Apo, and what you buy in Apo might not be the same thing you buy in Maitama.
So you feel like the prices, they should have a body that regulates the price.
Exactly, because that actually gives a kind of cushion to the common man, and it allows you to be able to save and invest, because that is very, very important. Because at this point, only the rich might actually see this as a kind of succor, because they will see more money to invest. But a poor man out there who is purchasing power still remains the same, and the market indices and factors are still playing at the way you go to the market every day. You still see that you buy your one Congo of Gary for the same price you were still buying from 3 months ago. So now, if the inflation is dropping and the prices are still the same, so you are still in the same situation.
I mean, I like the point that he has raised now. Why do we see an increased GDP, but there's still a low, the living costs have not been affected. People are still spending a lot just to survive. The prices of goods and services are still very high. Why do you think there's this disparity? Shouldn't we see a lower level, a lower cost of living with an increased GDP, really?
Well, going deeper into what the analysts mentioned, relating it to our first story on finance, it says here, talking about the 10%, increase in the oil output. Actually, this Q2 increase, in GDP is owed to the non-oil sectors, actually. So you see the 10% now is not really reflecting, not instantly reflecting in this regard. So, services, especially in services, finance, and telecommunications, this has contributed to this the growth in the Q2 GDP of the country. But then at the same time, we are also worried because the agricultural sector is not among these non-oil sectors that's contributed to the increase in the GDP, because we still have issues of insecurity, which is making the agricultural sector suffering. It's not doing as well as it should. There is always a plan, there's always a structure of how the agriculture should be producing, every quarter, every year, and then seeing that Nigeria is a large country that should actually be producing a lot in the agricultural sector with the various departments we have and what we can produce and take out in as export. It is worrisome, for the agriculture, because if we are doing better in other departments and then we are not doing well in the agricultural sector, it's going to reflect poorly on us. Like you mentioned, the purchasing power of the citizens, whereby people are not seeing an improvement in their prices. Like President Ekemba mentioned, buying rice at an expensive price, let's say early January, and then you're still paying the same amount and you're being told the economy is doing better, the GDP is doing better. Why is it not reflecting? That is because I believe in some aspects, yes, we are growing, but then in the aspects where we should be growing, where it affects the common man directly, we're not really improving, especially like I was mentioned, in the agricultural sector.
So you believe that this disparity exists because this growth has yet to hit the agricultural sector, and it does hit that.
For me, I just believe this is good on paper, but inflation hitting the food, I think the people will be asking, what exactly is the growth?
Okay. So in a twist of fate, our last story for today on finance is, Q2 gains wiped out by 2.29 trillion weekly loss. And this is very, very interesting. So this is on it's the FX market. And if Nigeria is losing 2.2 trillion naira in a week, what does that mean? Because it means that we have less money going to the federal government, entering the federal government coffers. So they're basically on ground zero. We're earning money, we're losing all of the gains that we have.
Well, this actually accounts for why investors are really nervous and looking at the too much dependency on foreign reserve, and we are actually foreign inflow. Yeah, and it actually tells a lot what's going to happen going into the Q3. And looking at the situation right now, we heard even ShopRite and other businesses are being shut down, and this actually is things that we should begin to look at going forward, because one, the investors are nervous. They will pull out.
Okay, hold on. I would like to get this out on this. If it's saying investors, what do you think can be done? What do you think? How do you think we can boost investor confidence in the market so we can have more investors putting more money? Because the more money we have, the more growth.
Yeah, it's actually really sad that we're progressing, we're seeing progress in certain departments, but then at the same time, we're also losing money that fast or in that actual significant number. There are various, the ways the federal government can consider boosting the economy. For example, when these international companies come down to Nigeria, to provide certain things like jobs, they provide, they boost the economy also by providing job opportunities, for the citizens. At the same time, they are also building infrastructures because, wherever, let's say, for example, in a ShopRite that you mentioned, if building a branch in a certain environment or area, they might contribute to infrastructures like road, street lights, probably water system, electricity. So these are things, the federal government should also consider, that they should find a balance between what they will provide to these external or foreign companies, whereby the companies feel welcome that, okay, whatever we're investing is actually worth it, because it also comes down to the corporate social responsibility. This is something that comes as a very needed factor for the government. It's a very needed factor. But then if the companies do not feel well represented, they do not feel like they are being catered well for in the country, I believe this will also negatively affect how these companies, invest in the company, in the country. Sorry, how these foreign companies invest in the country. So I believe the federal government should also consider these factors of how they will scratch things, like a scratch your back and a scratch your back for situation. So they should probably do it structured.
Okay, that's all we have today on finance. I mean, what this means is oil is up, GDP is up, but these issues mean that that until this is done, until these issues are fixed, policy inconsistencies are fixed, insecurity is fixed, until these issues are really looked at in depth, we will continue to see that life is tough for Nigerians. And we really hope that, an Asue-led government is going to do something about it, is going to address these issues, and so that we see investor confidence and that people continue to put money in, because really, economy needs to grow if it's going to meet Asue's targets by 2027, and we really pray it does, because life needs to change for the common man.
Absolutely.
So that's all we have for today on finance. We're going to be looking at all of the stories happening. It's been a very busy couple of days. We're going to be looking at all of the stories happening on the entertainment segment or on the entertainment world, and to do that with us we have Serena.
Hello, IJ. Hello, Ikemba.
Hello,
How are you doing?
good to see you.
Yeah, so...
What do you have first?
Well, we have a lot, in fact. We're starting off with Pella reacts to accusations of domestic violence. So, like 2 viral videos showing Pella pushing Jarvis into a car, and then another one showing him poking at her head. So, Pella claimed that he was basically protecting her from hoodlums, and that's how they relate, that's how they play. So a lot of persons, I mean, it sparked an uproar. A lot of persons came on and were like, this is domestic.
You don't let me do it. I don't like the way you shout on me. Stop it. That one, enter here. Why? You get why? Enter here.
Hello, everybody. I'm here to address this issue. Let me tell you something. Why you people that are listening, why don't you see weapon? And even your caption are rubbish caption. Whenever we are in the midst of Agbero, we go for Shey 5 concert. Agbero, those people, they're not friendly. They want to do us a useful, and I'm trying to protect.
But I just want to
me
say,
and let me tell you, that place I touch her
watch it.
As you say now, our normal
If she
say,
cannot
as I
speak
do her
up,
like
she
this,
should speak
maybe
out.
you do me back and
Because
everything, but you
point
don't
in
do me
time,
back. I even
every
do
victim would actually speak out.
those one, but I'm
cannot
angry at that
actually
moment because she doesn't
notice
listen
that,
to me.
This is actually
But I can never be
a
a
process. It's a process that is in play, and Jarvis is just really trying to defend their source of income. That's why actually she said what she said.
But if that's not the case, I mean.
Yeah, well, you might not. That's what I'm saying. I'm standing from the point of observation.
Okay.
Yeah, that's because what I saw, that was actually violence to me. You don't push anyone in that manner and claim to be protecting them. You have a lot of security people around you. You have your bodyguard around you. You have friends around you. They could as well tell you that just leave the door open. The door was open, and you could just let her in. But you pushing her head over seems to be like a police officer who just arrested a criminal and telling him just get into the car.
I don't know.
I mean, like, are we normalizing domestic violence?
No. I don't know if we're not normalizing domestic violence in any form. I've been very what's the word?
You don't let me do it. I don't like the way you shout on me. Stop it. That one, enter here. Why? You get why? Enter here.
Hello, everybody. I'm here to address this issue. Let me tell you something. Why you people that always record? Why don't you record? And even your caption are rubbish caption.
I don't
We are
like
in the midst of
both of them
Agero.
together.
Because
I mean, but that's just a personal.
Agero, those
It's like
people,
I feel like
they're not
he
friendly.
doesn't, as a person,
They also do us a
with her. He doesn't know his boundaries with her. And
me, let me tell you, that place where I touch her like this. As you say now, our normal people say, as I do her like this, maybe you do me back and everything, but you don't do me back. I even do it.
I think he doesn't have those boundaries.
Those ones, but I'm angry at that moment because she doesn't listen to me. But I can never be a woman.
So I think it's on both sides. Both of them need to. She needs to go and learn what she should accept and what she should not accept from a man.
Yeah,
and
you
he
know,
needs
she
to
also pokes him at times. Like I've seen videos of that. So
I think it's not just the poking. It's just it's one thing after the other. So she needs to know
the way he speaks to her.
Yeah, what the boundaries are, the way he plays with her body. I feel like put some boundaries in place for how a man should treat you, especially when it's a video that is out there for the world to see. God forbid something happens to their relationship tomorrow. These videos are there. Yeah. Whoever is going to marry tomorrow, whoever your future partner is going to be, is going to see these degrading videos of you because some of them are just downright degrading. And he, on the other hand, is going to grow up, I believe, I hope, into a responsible man, into a man someday, and he's going to look back on some of these videos.
I'm just 17.
No, actually, I was going to point out that. So he said something in his statement. He came out with a statement that he's just 20 years old, and they should allow him to actually learn and explore. But I don't think learning is by you throwing up chaotic issues like this, because one, you don't push people's head.
He's acting his age.
So if you are claiming to be young, then you need to actually go back to your mother's house. That's for me, because a child should not be in a relationship. You should still be under your parents, learning actually the ethos, the ethics, and the etiquette of how to actually respect a woman, because I don't see any sign of him actually respecting Jarvis in any way.
It's so nice to hear you about talking about this.
And
it's very like
and whatever you think that you have eaten or you drank before actually doing that, you should actually watch it, because many people have gone to jail for less, because it could be termed anything, and based on who is reporting the issue. So now Jarvis is only defending his, like I said earlier, because their streaming income and all that, it actually comes to what I'm benefiting from you while you are still with me. And like I just said, don't put aside that this might actually come up, this kind of videos might come up. We have seen what just happened.
You don't let me undo it. I don't like the way you start on me. Stop it. Enter here. Why? You get why? Enter here.
Hello, everybody. I'm here to address
Jarvis has gotten married to another person entirely.
Let me tell you something. Why you people that listen to record? Why don't you
he has done
even your caption are rubbish
caption? Video like this.
We are in the midst of Agero. Agero, those people,
he's a young child, like you said. He's a young
boy. They also do us a
he's growing,
and I'm trying to protect.
He's growing, he's learning, and it's okay to make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. However, as young as he is or claims to be, he should also be aware that he has people who are following him, millions of people who are following him, who are looking up to him, who have taken him as a role model, and he should not be showing them that this is the right way to treat a woman. Same goes for Jarvis.
Okay, all right. Moving on to our next story. Yudabasi set to break another record this September. This one, what do we call this one? Cookathon.
A no. I like this.
Jollof
rice. I wish I was available. I was going to Lagos to go and eat. I'm happy that this is happening in Nigeria. Yeah. The Nigerian jollof will enter Guinness World Record. I mean, this settles that Ghana jollof issue once and for all.
Yeah, you know, because Ghanaians came out and was saying that they attempted to cook. They attempted, but they didn't actually cook.
They attempted. Attempt is not. Nearly cannot kill a bird, right there.
Well, actually, I like Ghanaians, but my patriotism for Nigeria would not allow me to say some things I need to say right now. But
are you saying that Nigerian jollof is not better than Ghana jollof?
Have you tasted them?
Look at the camera. Look at the viewers and say
Ghana jollof. Yeah. No. Have you tasted Ghana jollof?
There is no other jollof outside Nigerian jollof.
Even the Senegalese have a very lovely.
I agree.
Yeah,
but they are not better than Nigerian jollof. They have not tasted Nigerian jollof.
Well, I think
you cannot come to Nigeria and eat.
Those of us that have traveled far and wide will actually attest to it that
Nigerian jollof is not the best.
No, it ranks amongst the best. No, it ranks amongst the best, but I don't
Are you
think.
saying Nigerian jollof? No, pick your stance. Are you saying Nigerian jollof is not the
I
best?
reserve my comment.
Anyway, I actually think, I don't know if you agree with me, Hilabasi has been a huge source of encouragement to a lot of people, including Nigerian women. I mean, her perseverance, her ability to chase, and if you came back, you agree with me.
I don't really understand why you are saying
No, I
that
think
she's
she's
a
doing
source of
well.
encouragement.
Yeah, I
She's
think
doing
she's doing
She's
well.
doing well.
You
For
know, the
someone
fact
who
that she's able to
supported
chase
her
her
mother.
dream.
For the
Yeah.
culinary sector. Or
Yeah, she's
for,
doing a lot. I think.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think she's doing so much.
She's doing so
I think,
much.
let's say for the item 7, she's doing well.
She's doing a lot.
She's doing well.
It's something. It's not an easy thing, you know, to make an attempt at a Guinness World Record. Not to talk of being holding one. She's a Guinness World Record holder, even though the record has been broken. We
Yeah.
remember her efforts. We remember everything she did. We remember how she spurred on a generation of record breakers. So many people started making Guinness. It seemed like all of a sudden we remembered Guinness World Record, and so many Nigerians started attempting all kinds of tons, cooker tons, this one ton. There was a lot of tons going left, right, center. I mean, we liked the that she inspired that.
Yeah, she
I
inspired
like the fact
that.
that she has gone on to create her own culinary school. She didn't just ride off the fame. She has created her own school.
Yeah.
She's teaching. She's cooking. Kudos. She's doing a lot for someone who
Though I'm not sure
paid
if
that.
I agree with that.
This is why we should pay attention and help our mother. She has
I will agree.
selected
I will
things.
agree on one stance, and at the same time, I would just say the Ekiti lady should actually.
Chef Dami.
Chef Dami should start preparing because Nigerians are hungry.
She should cook fried
Not
rice.
just for food, but for global recognition.
She should cook fried rice. As
Hilda
is cooking jollof rice, we need amala.
Oh, soup.
Better amala from this side so that we
Anyway.
combine everything.
We can have that first. Amala first and
No, rice, the jollof first. For people that don't like Nigerian jollof.
So we're moving
you can
on
wait for
to
amala.
our next story. Vicky James speaks out on marriage rumors. So in the recent interview with Nancy Singh, Vicky James claimed that there were rumors speculating that she and her husband were actually in a sexual relationship before marriage, and that she snatched her husband Femi from someone. So she was like, this led her into depression. She felt really depressed and all of that. I don't know why are people so quick to bully people all over the internet, and particularly Vicky James. People are always so quick to bully.
I would not say it's particularly Vicky James, particularly everybody who is a celebrity whose life is out there on social media for us to see, for us to judge, for us to know. If it's not there, people can't hurt what they know. They can't hurt what they can't see, what they can't touch.
Too much information.
There's so much online. The story about her and Femi Ateria has been on for a long time. They snatched, they didn't snatch. Even her former friend, her former bestie, Ms. Waneka said, I think Femi was working for Ms. Waneka, and the relationship started from there, and but there's just been too many speculations. I think she would have done well to have kept her marriage private, but she didn't do that. She decided to even open a channel, a specific dedicated specific dedicated channel to put content for us, and everything we know about Vicky James and her home, we know from them. We know from her particularly. Your husband has done birthday, you have done video, you have showed us the surprise. There was a particular video, I don't know if it's appropriate to even mention, there was way too much information in that video.
I don't know that's too much information.
It was a
people
trend.
should be free to...
No, but that's the thing. If you're going to put out that much information, you should have a thick skin.
You should get ready.
Yes, you should have a thick skin. Before you put out certain things online, you should be ready for the consequences that come with putting out
something
I'm putting out something, I'm putting it out with my full chest and saying, this is out there. If you want to talk, there's some certain things that don't faze me that I can put out there, and if you drag me from now till tomorrow, it doesn't shake me.
But does that give people the right to just
No, but you can't control how people think. It's free speech.
Well,
you have the right to say whatever you want to say, as long as it's not bullying.
Sometimes might seem trivial, but like you mentioned earlier, depression is something that we should actually, the mental health of these celebrities. They are also human beings.
Yeah, they're also human.
But at the same time, you should also pick what you put out there for people to feed on, because you cannot throw out all your life on every channel and now expect people to judge you outside of what they don't know. They will judge you based on what they know. So I just want to say, Vicky James, congratulations. If the rumor is true, at the same time, try and go for therapy if you feel that depression is setting in. That's just
regulate what you put on social media.
She said
curate it. It's curate.
Fabricated.
I think it's curate. That's the word. put out what you can afford, and then be willing to let people run with the narrative that they protect your mental health. You put yourself in a bubble wrap, and whatever happens on social media, remind yourself that these people don't know you, they don't know the truth.
I mean, I feel really bad.
For her husband too, if you're marrying somebody who is a public figure, who is a celebrity, you should also be mentally prepared that there will be a lot of lies. There are going to be a lot of fabricated stories that come out online. So you have to be able to trust your partner beyond whatever is happening on social media, because the entire world can be saying one thing when it's not necessarily true.
But on the marketing side too, let's see the PR to it. This is also image control. This is survival for her, and they need to stay out there. They need their stories to be out there for them to actually get more income on streams and all.
Yeah, they can stay out there, but they could also regulate the kind of things that they post.
There's no bad PR. There's no bad PR, because whatever that is out there about
for marriages, there is bad PR.
Everyone has his own angle to the PR. So I'm just looking at whatever it is that works for you. The complaints might not actually be valid because you actually put it out there for people to see.
Yeah, I agree with you, Shuma. So, on to the last story for today. Nigerian youths flog police and 2 others over drug use. This happened at Mpolu, Port Harcourt.
Yeah.
This happened at Mpolu, Port Harcourt. The youth leader, Comrade Owanda, said that. The youth leader, Comrade Owanda, stated that people sell their houses just to buy drugs. They sell their properties they have been given to them from just to get drugs. So it's basically a movement. It's basically a movement, anti-drug movement. No more drug dealers, no more drug users.
Okay.
I mean, you're from Port Harcourt. From Rivers State, you should know. But for some of us, we go to Rivers, we visit, we come out. You're from Rivers State, you should know. You know what? What is happening in Rivers State?
It happens everywhere, not just Rivers State.
Okay.
Well, this is actually symbolic, though, because one, a law enforcement officer found in a place where he should not be, and there's a campaign in that particular community actually against drug use and illicit drugs. Well,
show your face. Get your face up. The drug again. The drug again. Come on, come on, face that side. Face that side.
No go, no do again. You can dismiss this person. So that's left for the, for the police force. Yeah. However, there are 2 issues that I see from this. The first one is that as a citizen, regardless of the motion or movement or campaign that you are doing, you do not have any right to, arrest someone. What you can do is, not to flog someone, to beat that person up, to discipline that person up. What you can do is make this arrest and hand over to the appropriate authorities to prosecute. I feel like that's what should be done. And that's what they should have done. They shouldn't have proceeded to flog him. Once they made that arrest, they should have handed them over to the appropriate agencies or authorities to take the full course of the law. But maybe they felt like, we won't go carry police, give police. What's going to happen in that sense. But that's one. Yeah. 2, this basically reinforces the narrative that we have known all along. The popular police won't put Igbo for my pocket.
Yes.
Yes, it is not a new thing. Yeah. We know that this police have access to this thing. Yeah. In fact, there was a rumor at some point where I was schooling that, the Mopol, that they had, it was Mopol, that they had a weed farm where they were growing their own, and they caught someone there, and they flogged this person mercilessly. Dealt with this.
Like the popular Nigerian.
No.
My hand no deal.
Well, no, but these are the issues. These are the truths that we know that everybody's afraid to speak.
Yeah,
we know that these people have access to this.
You must have evidence to prove.
I'm not saying
beyond
I'm
reasonable doubt
alleged.
that you
I'm saying
anyway.
that I heard as a student.
But say no
But
to
then
jungle justice.
This raises a very fundamental issue. If a law enforcement agent is caught in this kind of activity, yeah, it now begs us to ask, what is happening to all those narcotics that are seized by NDLEA? Are they really being destroyed? These are the questions we need to ask.
I think
somebody is retailing them in the local market. These are the issues we need to ask.
Marwa, who is the DG NDLEA, so for us
we need to see
exactly,
being destroyed.
To confirm exactly.
We need to see that. I mean, we've seen a foreign clip where somebody was a journalist was covering where they were being destroyed, and the person got intoxicated. So you know that this is the actual thing being destroyed. We need to see them destroying these things and make sure that they are not retailers,
Okay. Really. We'll leave that to the first PPRO and NDLEA public relations department to get back to us on this. Probably these have been destroyed, and as we also welcome in Mohammed Abbas on the sports scene.
Well, President thank you for welcoming me back today on the sports world, a whole world on its own. And today we actually have very interesting topics. Well, sports. What really defines sports? From the headlines now, we'll debate on that. First of all, a sex toy epidemic is now ongoing in this sports world, and then one wonder, is sex an actual sport or not? It's something debatable. Taking it back to ancient Greece, where they actually do consider it a sport, but then let's just stick to the sport world. The headlines goes, and the PGA, Professional Golfers Association tournament, was disrupted as a sex toy was thrown into the field while what Tommy Fleetwood was about to record a remarkable win. And why this is considered epidemic was because a few weeks ago, during an WNBA, the Women's National Basketball Association game, sex toys were being thrown into the court, and now the issue now rises, like, is this a form of sexualization of women that is happening around the world, or is it just people being trying to be funny? It's also commendable that some of these people that have done this were caught and they received a lifetime ban for doing this particular act. And I believe there is a video about it, if our technical team will put it on, where the sex toy was being thrown. But then let me just get your opinion, Ekemba.
I think this is very close to because actually talked
about current of misogyny. I don't know. Okay. I put in the trying this. I don't know. It feels very cringe. I just saw the video and I was like, what is going on here? I think that this thing looks like a marketing stunt. It's happened with the meme coin. I don't know. It's not very appropriate, right? Since this has happened, I think there should be more measures taken. I know that before you enter into these complexes, before you get into watch the sports, you're being searched for weapons and anything. I think at this point, we should also search for adult toys. Anything that because it's disrupting the sports for people who love it, and it's not very good. I don't know. I don't know how I felt.
Not just for the fans. I believe even for the players.
Even for the players.
Yes, it might,
it crosses the boundaries.
Yes, mentally,
Yeah, for me, it sounds wild, and because it speaks a lot about discipline and the mentorship gap in our society. Because why throw adult toys into a game? Because it speaks a lot of different language to different people, because you cannot what you use in your closet, now you bring it out there as a sport. I don't understand what's actually the implication, and but one will see it from the place of this is gross indiscipline, and because it's already going into the next incident now, and we don't know what's going to happen next time the women are playing football. Probably the whole stadium is going to be adult toys hanging on everyone's neck. But like IG said, if you're going to, it's not a medal, so why then bring it to the sports? So
place.
I think the governing body, the sports governing body, will look into it and see how they can actually begin to search, if not for weapons now, but for adult weapons. So we'll see
how it also shows how women are objectified, even when all they're doing is playing sports. So there should be more protection for these women, because if this can happen in an open arena where they are playing games, you can imagine that some of these women are being stalked. You can just imagine what's happening in their DMs. Things are going, people are sending them a lot of inappropriate pictures or videos.
The DM seems to be like a closet, but the one.
No, I'm just saying, if this is happening in the open, you can imagine what's happening in private, and these women should be protected. You know, it's more security for female sportswomen, especially those who live alone, making sure, because they are being open to a lot of people who feel like they have access to them. Whoever is doing this has probably even fantasized or made up so many thoughts in their head before coming out, because that's intent. Yeah. You put this, you came with it, and you came with it with the intent to trade. It's a lot of intent. The person must have thought long and hard before doing this. So yes, this woman should be protected.
Can this be categorized as SGBV also, probably sexual gender-based violence, when you show such thing?
Yeah, but then this present report we have is actually for a male golfer, you know, and this adult toy is a female adult toy.
You feel that a male golfer cannot be sexually abused?
No, I'm not saying that in particular, you know, let's not go bias here. No, I'm just saying that these perpetrators could actually just try, and they are trying to be funny, you know, at the same time, and what they might consider as harmless is actually something harmful, because, you know, it paints a particular kind of image because it affects players. Well then, we hope there's going to be new laws that will now start guarding both players and the fans from things like this. Yes. Moving on, the road to WrestleMania 41. There is a significant presence of the World Wrestling Entertainment in the European continent, moving, you know, from Spain, Italy, the United Kingdom, and it's very commendable. You know, the WWE is something that a lot of us, you know, grew up watching, especially here in Nigeria. We have a very massive fan base, you know, with debates going on whether it is real or it is fake, you know, because it's considered an entertainment. We've seen videos, you know, thanks to social media now, where we've seen angles where the players are not really hitting themselves, and, you know, it's a very funny scenario. And one might not think of it as a sport that we might participate in, you know, here in Africa, considering when the WWE is coming to Africa, they usually just come to South Africa. We see them there, but we've never seen them here in Nigeria. And now the topic rises because we have actually 2 Nigerians active in the World Wrestling Entertainment, in the likes of Obafemi and also Tolulope, also known as Jordan, Omos and Jordan. They are present in the WWE. So that begs the question, when is the WWE coming to Africa fully, you know, West Africa, not just South Africa, West Africa, you know, facing the countries like Nigeria and the rest. Because yeah, we've seen them in the United Arab Emirates, we've seen them in Europe, we've seen them in the United States, but then what does it say for Africa?
I say for us, soon. And not in the, you know, soon, but there's so many things. Like, it's a good thing now that we have, you know, we have fighters that are Nigerian that are there. So one, we have a representation that wasn't there before. Like you said, this is a sport that we grew up watching. You know, we enjoy, whether it was real or fake. We loved it. We enjoyed watching the likes of Rey Mysterio. It was fun, you know, something that we really loved. And it would be nice to see some of these things happen live. However, there are bigger conversations to be had. You know, why not Africa? For any organization that is hoping to, you know, put this out there or bring it to a particular place, they're looking at so many things. It costs a lot of money to set up. You're looking at the fans who are going to come and watch. You're looking at the people who are going to pay to watch. If they're going to bring it to Nigeria, for example, how many Nigerians are going to watch? How many people know Obafemi and Tolulope? You know, how many Nigerians are going to come out and support them? How many Nigerians know these people? How many Nigerians are willing to buy tickets? And these people are trying to, you know, evaluate. They're weighing it. Oh, we know if they go to United Arab Emirates, come on, they have the sheikhs there. They have, you know, the money bags there. Who will pay and bring out the money to watch some of these things? Who are going to pay? Which is it? You know, I don't want to mention it, but who is going to pay to sit down and watch two men fight? I think they have other means of entertainment that they enjoy, but this might not be one of them. And then what is our viewership like online? Because one thing we know is that Nigerians are I don't know, we don't like to pay for things. So Nigerians will rather pirate. And this is not a generalization. Oh, it's not a generalization. Some Nigerians, we see it with, music. Somebody recently posted a song by Adekunle Gold and tagged him. And Adekunle Gold replied and said, you had the mind to tag me in a song that you download. It's a pirated version of my song, and you download and you tagged me. So that is what Nigerians do, because we don't like to stream things, we don't like to pay for things, and these are how these companies or these platforms, this is how they get their revenue. So number one, how we register our presence and let these people know that we are actually one of your paying customers, you're one of your fans. When they look at the numbers and where their streams are coming from, they see Nigeria all the way up there. But if we are pirating and we are downloading from third-party sites, they don't get to see those numbers, and they don't even know that they have a lot of fans in Nigeria. So that's one. And we also need to make sure that even if they wanted to come to Nigeria and hold it, that one Agbero somewhere is not going to beat up. He's not going to come and beat up Undertaker. Because Nigeria. I mean, so that's the issues really.
Anyway, actually, I would have appreciated if this was brought to Nigeria, because one, we just had the fight between the Kibauchi that were actually highly rated, and we saw Nigerians actually saying, "Wow, this is good," and well. The viewership is another issue entirely, because we have a lot of issues there already, DSTV rights, the TV rights and thereabout. But my own issue there is we have a lot of wrestlers in Nigeria. Yeah? We have a lot of viral clips. We see people beating up themselves at the garage. We see people trying to fight their friends, fight their wives. I think this should be where they should channel their energy into and bring out the best out of them, at least man to man.
Maybe they can sign comfort.
Well, I'm just trying to see how we can make more inflow into the country, and not actually we sending them out there to go make more dollars or pounds or dirham or whatever. But going forward, I think Nigerian organizers should think about how this can be done inwardly and not just so we can bring in the dollars to Nigeria.
We can also, like you said, set up one for us, bring one or two of these international athletes and then or these fighters, let them come here and guarantee their safety so that they don't kidnap.
Yeah, that will actually.
So that will do something like that here, and they go back, and then they know that okay, there's a market for this here.
Well, let us hope in the nearest possible future that we would see such beautiful, team up. And moving on to the Nigerian scene, a teenage goalkeeper impresses the Nigerian football fans within the Nigerian Football League, where Bayelsa United's 19-year-old goalkeeper Clinton Andy has become the talk of Nigerian football scene, where he's even been compared to our national team representatives like Nwabali and Vincent Inyamo. It's very commendable. The club actually won a considerable or a very commendable 3-0 lead in the game, but then the attention was actually on the goalkeeper. So you see, he's really impressive, for the attention to be on the goalkeeper and not the goals that were scored. Yes, it was commendable. The players did, the strikers of Bayelsa United scoring goals. And, the goalkeeper being mentioned of having incredible saves is actually commendable. It's showing that being a teenager, a 19-year-old, is really showing that there's progress in the sports world of Nigeria. Well, I don't think we should dwell too much on that, but let's go to our final story on sports. Nigeria invests in sports. We have an increase in our budgets from 31 billion last year to a whooping 78 billion naira in the budget increase, which, well, I would like to hear your opinion before we delve into
Before I do things, I want to quickly tell you that this is actually something that the TINUBU administration will be saying, yes, we told you, we are here, and the $100,000 is not just audio money, but the truth is this is better for Nigeria, and we are making it seem to the outside world that we are ready for sports. And 78 billion, wow, that's actually a huge sum to think about what we should be pushing to education also. But that's not actually a shade on them, but I think there should be commensurate allocation to other aspects in our spending. So, but 78 billion will actually boost a lot. But I still wait to see how this actually practically translates to good stadiums, our maintenance culture being improved, and athletes training, because we have the catch them young syndrome that is already going on in Nigeria. We see young athletes doing massively okay for the country. Can you see from the Bayelsa United? We see the young lad there doing good for the country. So I want to say they should push this money rightly to where it's supposed to go to, and not into the coffers of those administrators who now become politically motivated to now vie for governorship because they have a lot of money coming in. Because 78 billion is not just money that is for building stadiums. We are going to hear a lot of scandals coming from this. We know what we are up to in the country.
So coming from the president of the Judo Federation, Judo Association, Basketball Association, and even I think the Boxing Association, their major concerns from the president, the heads was that yes, this is commendable that the federal government is now allocating more into the sports, but their concern is, are these funds going to be properly allocated? They want to see what this money is going to be done. And there's also suggestions of having the sports federation, having the sports commission, having their own treasurer, whereby this money actually comes to them and they handle all the expenses and these developments, whereby people on social media are even complaining that all our stadiums combined are not really up to even that amount. So there's a lot of maintenance to be done. There is a lot of technicalities to the issue, because we can remember during the last Olympics where Nigerians were stranded, Nigerians had to face issue, because I believe the last Olympics, sorry Paris, but there's a lot of complaints online that the athletes were not properly treated. So part of the concern now raised for this increase in budget is that we hope that we're going to see proper infrastructures being built, whereby both athletes and these infrastructures are well paid for, are well balanced, are well built, so that we are being represented. We didn't come back with any medal, I believe, in the last Olympics, and that is really sad for a whole nation not to come back with medals to show. But then, with the swimmer we have recently that broke, the record globally, and with the new sports coming in that are gaining traction, like the boxing and others, I believe in the next Olympics we'll see a significant increase, because thank you to the present National Sports Commission Chairman, Shehu Diko. I believe he has been doing a lot so far, and we hope that these things are not just going beyond paper, and we see actions.
I mean, I'll say that this is from 31 to 78 is like more than 100% increase. We hope, like you said, that it translates. And but when you say they should have their own treasurer, I say in popular Nigerian parlance, only near everybody. We'll still hear stories from that side, but I'm really with Ikembo on this one. They should make it as transparent as possible, put the processes out there on how they're spending, so that everybody can see how they're spending. And then they should not concentrate on just one sport, let them spread it out so every sport gets equal treatment. And then on the other hand, and that's very ironical. I mean, yesterday we talked about, I think, Santos Uche, the move to Wolverhampton, and how he's being signed for 35 billion. Yeah. That's really, what's this increase is. So, that's really what this increase is. Yeah. It's just about the same amount. Yeah, so that's the money that was used to sign one individual. So it kind of feels very, that previously we were spending 31 billion, which is not up to the amount that was being used to sign just one player by a football club. That's what an entire country's budget is for sports. So, I mean, it's a lot. It's more than 100% good, but there's still a lot more to be done. There's still a lot of investment need to be made in infrastructure and in these players as individuals. So that's something that we're looking forward to. They need to put more money, but like he said again, if they're going to put this money, you should also look at other sectors. Sports is important. Education is what's important.
Yeah, because we have in other countries whereby these kids are actually in sports and they're also going to school.
Yes.
So
security, there's so many things. So we just wanted to touch
because we don't want a situation whereby we bring in all the whole coaches into the country to come and help us, technical crew and all that. We start hearing stories of kidnapping.
They shouldn't bring coaches. They should raise our own coaches who know this.
Well, knowledge exchange is not a bad idea.
Well.
And also something the federal government and the sports commission should consider is that there's a lot of revenue to be generated from this sport. It's not just them pumping money. This is something that you can see the earliest forms of returns. Imagine we are building a good league whereby what we just discussed, one player is being signed for 35 billion naira. So imagine you have a whole squad of 11 being exported to the Premier League whereby you're paying this amount. It's coming into the sport commission and it's actually building us. So there are a lot of job opportunities to be created, not just in the sport. Yes, in the sport, but then various departments exist. When it comes to HR, PAs, medicals. So there's so many things to consider. So the government should not also just see it as just spending money, but also it's going to bring money. Yeah.
Well, from politics updates to finance, and we have all the entertainment coming from Serena, and now Mohamed Abbas giving us all the updates on sports. Here we come to the end of today, and we hope to see you again. I'm Iko Kimball.
And I'm Ijoma Uba.
And I remain Abbas Muhammad.